So traveling's like my favorite thing in the world. It's a lot of fun. The whole experience from beginning to end is really exciting. However, plane rides can be not the most exciting thing in the world. And if you're not prepared, those plane rides can be very long, very boring, and honestly really uncomfortable. Let's talk about how to mitigate that. Hey everyone, it's Troy from floatfreely.com, and today I'm be going over, like I said, how to make a plane ride a lot less boring. See, for me, I love going to the airport. I love being in the airport. I love navigating the airport. And really, I like flying a lot. Just that excitement of getting to your destination, what awaits you on the other side of that flight. You know, it's all good stuff. But when you're sitting there in that tight, cramped, dehydrated space for hours and hours and hours on end, I mean, who wouldn't get bored, honestly? I mean, there's a reason babies cry on the plane. I mean, I've cried on the plane before, but that's a story for a different time. So what can you do to mitigate that boredom, that uncomfortable feeling of flying for long hours? See, if you fly a lot or if you've flown in the past before, you may have noticed that you feel like super fatigued and kind of out of it, maybe a little nauseous. You just feel like absolute garbage the entire time you're flying. So if you don't get rid of that feeling, then it doesn't matter what you do on this flight. It doesn't matter what kind of tips you follow to decrease your boredom. You're gonna have that overarching feeling of just feeling like death, which sucks. And the reason for that most likely is that you're dehydrated. And the way I've tackled that issue recently, I just found out about it, is that I've always been dehydrated when I fly because I'm terrible at hydrating and I feel a little motion sick. Now I knew about the motion sickness, but the whole dehydration thing, like I didn't think that played a factor. You know, and it's good to hydrate whether you're flying or just, you know, in life in general, but especially when you're flying. Because when you're up 30,000 feet in the air in a plane cabin that's less humid than the Sahara Desert and there's like, in the air just like continuously sucks the water out of you, if you're dehydrated before that flight, you're definitely going to be dehydrated when you get on that flight. And so for the few days, or ideally every day, hydrate properly, you know, drink a few bottles of water. What do they say, a gallon a day? But you don't have to go that crazy starting off. A gallon, that's a lot of water. But even if you start off with like half a gallon a day worth of water every single day, spread throughout the day, not just in one go, because then you're going to be getting up and taking a leak like 1,000 times on your flight. Mix that with, you know, a motion sickness pill, then that death feeling that you have when you fly is going to be practically non-existent, or at the very least greatly decreased. Okay, so now that we're not miserable, what can we do to pass the time? So let's start off with the media. I'm talking Netflix, I'm talking music, I'm talking podcasts, and not just one or the other. I'd recommend a nice mixture of all of them, because if you're like me, I don't know if you're like me or not, but I'll listen to the same few songs like over and over and over again until I'm tired of them, and then move on to a new group of songs, and then you know, the cycle repeats, and then after a while I circle back to that original group of songs. And so my playlist isn't all that diverse, it isn't all that deep, and so honestly I get kind of bored of my music after like an hour or two, which is where the other forms of media come in. Typically when I'm in the airport before I board and I'm on the public Wi-Fi, which public Wi-Fi is super sketchy, but so if you want to do this at home, that'd be much preferable. But it's to download a few episodes of whatever show you want to watch, or maybe even download a movie from Netflix so you can watch it offline. But be careful of that, because sometimes, especially Netflix originals, has a lot, like nudity is like pretty popular in their shows, which I don't mind that. But when you're sitting next to somebody and you're watching your show, you know, and then like a hot and spicy sex scene pops up, you know, it can be kind of awkward. It can lead to some awkward situations, but they'll be fine. You know, after the flight, they're not even gonna remember your existence, so watch whatever the hell you want. Same with audiobooks, same with podcasts. I know after a while of looking at the screen, I can start getting that motion sickness feeling back, so I switch over to like an audiobook if I have one at the time that I'm listening to, or even a podcast, because I know, personally, I use Google Play Music, and I know they have a ton of podcasts on there that you can download so you can listen to offline. And podcasts usually run a little over an hour, so just a couple of those will hold you over for the duration of most flights, especially domestic flights in the United States. And a mixture of all those media options will easily carry you through even long international flights. But let's say you forget to download media. If you're on longer flights, you know, 4, 5, 6 hours plus, there's a really good chance that the seats on your flights are gonna have the screen built into the back of the seat of the person in front of you, and you can go ahead and watch movies on that, and 99% of the time, every time I've flown, they've always been free. And honestly, super surprisingly, the movies are really good. I mean, they've had like really good movies on those flights, like new releases. Sometimes they mix in a little older movies. I can find like 4 or 5 movies where I'm like, wow, I really wanted to see that in theaters, but I never got the chance to, but now I can watch it for free on the back of the seat. Honestly, even if you do download stuff on Netflix to watch, if your seats have TVs built into the back of them, I'd go that route over the Netflix route. Another thing you can do to pass the time is read like a regular book. Now, it's hard for me to read books, not because I don't know how to read, but just because when I like sit down and read a book, like, I don't know, it throws off my equilibrium or something. It makes me super tired almost immediately. That's why I usually go the audiobook route. But if you're one of the lucky people that can actually sit down and read a book in those kind of environments, like being cramped on a plane, then you are super lucky, and I highly recommend you go that route, which you probably do considering you already like to read, so you already planned on bringing a book on the plane anyway, but just a reminder if for some reason you forgot. Now, one of my favorite things to bring, and something I don't really see anyone else bring, is a notebook and a pen. So if you're into journaling, so I like making lists because there's like all sorts of ideas like flowing around in my head like all the time. So I like having lists of this is what I want to do, this is what I want to accomplish, this is what I need to buy in order to accomplish those things. And once I start getting going like in like a notebook, and I start writing down ideas and start listing out ideas, then I expand on that and it gets more and more, and I go down the rabbit hole. Next thing you know, an hour and some change has passed, and I just filled up a few pages in my notebook of just random nonsensical notes. And since I'm so distracted by the actual notes and by the actual ideas, I don't even realize that I'm feeling nauseous or feeling dizzy or tired or any of those other treacherous flight feelings. And then the last thing I recommend is bringing some sort of work with you, whether it be school work or just regular work, whether it's a laptop or a tablet, whether you're going to college or, you know, you're running a business and you just need to crunch some numbers in a spreadsheet, because you can get like Google Docs, or if you have Microsoft Office, that can all be worked offline. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the journal thing, because, you know, I can see all my notes in my notebook and then I can like transfer them over to like a spreadsheet or a Word document and like write them out, format them. And now that just added another hour onto the hour that I already spent making the notes. And next thing, that 2 hours later, oh man, I haven't even gotten into my music or my Netflix. Whew. This flight is a breeze. And so really between all those things that we just talked about, you should be good on your flight. The biggest thing is to hydrate and to potentially take a motion sickness pill, because no matter what you do, no matter what those options were, if you feel like garbage, none of them are gonna be fun. The plane's still gonna suck, you're still gonna be bored, you're still gonna be miserable, so hydrate. And while you're at it, scroll down and subscribe and hit that bell icon so you get notifications whenever I upload, as well as leaving a like and sharing this video with friends just in case they need some flight tips as well. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.